think about a person who came before you, a parent, a grandparent, someone who made a big choice which ultimately became a life-altering change. Maybe they did it quietly, maybe they didn't fully understand what they were doing, yet that decision changed what would be possible for you today. Now think about someone who may be watching you, your child, a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, maybe even a younger colleague, someone who will look at this chapter of your life and make decisions based on what they saw you do. Most of us don't see change that way. Most of us think it's personal, something that happens to us. But what if change is not just about you? What if each time you choose to see change differently, you are quietly rewriting what is possible for the generation that comes after you? Here's my promise for you today. You will see change differently. You will recognize what you already carry from those who came before you. And you will leave with one decision that will ultimately change what is possible for everyone who comes after you. I know this is possible because I've watched it across 4 generations of my own family, and I'm living proof. Over 60 years ago, my father left Oaxaca, Mexico, and my mother left Córdoba, Spain, separately, strangers to this country and to each other. No map, no language, and no certainty about what would be waiting for them on the other side. My parents really didn't have a philosophy for change. They didn't see it as opportunity or growth or even the next chapter. They saw it as necessity. Move or stay stuck. So they moved. My parents' willingness to be able to change gave me an opportunity that they never had. Now here's the thing. My parents weren't just building a life for themselves, they were also building one for someone they had not met yet. I am what they were building. I had been in the workforce for almost 40 years, 26 of those in public service, and I knew exactly who I was in that role. Leaving it didn't just feel risky, it felt like I was losing my mind. But something kept returning, not loudly, not with a plan, just quietly, persistently. Something I can almost feel more than I can hear. Some call it intuition, some call it discernment, I call it your quiet truth. And if you're still enough to listen to it, it will make you brave enough to follow change when the time comes. In 2022, I listened, and then I followed change. It led me somewhere I had not expected. It led me to travel. I took a trip with my daughter, and in that trip, something else unexpected happened. The space that I created for her, I began to find for myself. For the first time in nearly 40 years, I was just Anna, and it was liberating. And then, 4 years later, the Camino made it undeniable. Recently, change took me to the Atlantic coast of Spain, where I led a group of women along the Camino de Santiago route, 78 miles on foot, through steep hills, sharp declines, and rain that showed up to welcome us. There were several moments on that trip where everything in me wanted to stop. And I mean everything. But that's exactly where change does its best work. This is where it pushes you past the noise, past the resistance, until the only thing left is the most honest and clear form of yourself you've heard in a long time. Walking those roads my father could have only traced with his fingers through magazine pages, I realized something for the first time. My parents had accepted change out of necessity. I accepted it by choice. Same act, different generation, different freedom. And then while all this was unfolding, I realized my children had been watching. My daughter decided to tell us she was going to move out of state. And yes, that worried me a lot, but it also filled me with a lot of pride because I knew exactly where that courage came from. She didn't hesitate like I would have. She knew exactly what to do. She had learned something that had taken me almost 40 years to learn. Change is something you follow, not something you survive. And then there's my granddaughter. She's 5 years old. And for this birthday, she asked for luggage. Luggage. In that moment, I had to stop because I realized that was the whole story that I had seen for the first time, clearly written out for me. My parents had moved out of necessity, and it created me. I changed the way I saw change, and I created a new life. My daughter watched that, and she moved freely when the time came. And now my granddaughter, at 5 years old, she already knows there's something that's coming. She doesn't have a name for it. She doesn't have a destination. But every time she sees grandma's luggage at that front door, she knows there's something out there waiting for her. That's 4 generations. My parents, me, my daughter, my granddaughter. Each generation risking from a slightly freer place. That belief didn't just come from nowhere. It traveled quietly, the way these things always do. And along the way, you get to decide what you carry forward and what you leave behind. Your children are watching. Everyone coming after you is watching. And each time you choose to see change as a signal rather than a threat, each time you choose to listen to your quiet truth and take that next step forward, you are changing the possibility for everyone that comes after you. I want to ask you to do 2 things before you leave. First, think about the person who changed that lens for you, whose choices, maybe they were quietly, maybe they didn't know what they were building, made life more possible for you. Hold them for a moment. And then decide to be that person for someone else. Because that decision made here today is where the next chapter begins. Not just yours, theirs. Thank you.